Good afternoon, and first up, big thanks to my Irish mate Garrett for this lovely bit of Donegal tweed. It's very comfortable, mate, nice and warm on a chilly day like today. I don't think it'll be off my head for a while. Well, I don't really have a subject for this video today, which is a good thing, because in the true spirit of living in the spirit, there is no such thing as a plan or an itinerary or a program or anything like that. It's a spontaneous kind of living wherein whatever comes. And takes a bit of getting used to. If you had asked me 20 years ago what my life would have been like, I would have never said that it'd be the way that it is today. I'm still me and still happy and still everything, but well, I'm much happier. But the people and situations I've been in have been way out of the ballpark from my average idea of what I think my life was going to be like. So hard to explain that. I guess you've got to experience it for yourself, but just the very miraculous nature of things, I suppose. And if you've ever watched that movie Yes Man with forget his name, he's got the funny face, but anyway, Yes Man, where he's always saying no to everything, and then all of a sudden he goes to this conference or seminar or whatever, and he's taught to say yes, and his life just starts to spontaneously change because he lives by the rule of saying yes to whatever comes. And that's much the same on the spiritual path. You're obviously not going to put yourself into danger unless you're a bit of a thrill seeker, but being open and willing to embrace what's given you and what's put in front of you on your path, in the recognition that everything's always perfect. There couldn't possibly be something asked of you unless it was an opportunity for you to come closer to God or closer to universal consciousness, whatever you want to call that, by realizing that you are capable of letting go of your fears and your ideas of limitation, and to step fearfully perhaps at first, but to step with faith into a new moment and embrace what's presented. And that's called, of course, a leap of faith. And I remember several times I had to do that with jobs that I didn't like, and I guess much like most people, I scratched around looking for another job before I left my old one, until one day I had a job that was so unbearable, packing groceries in the supermarket with this horrible old lady that used to pick on me all the time as a boss. And I knew I needed the money, but and I just had to say fuck it, and I walked out and just trusted that the universe would provide, and within 3 days I had another job, a much better one, by the way. So not having a plan, I mean, it's not that you don't make plans. You know, if you want to buy a house, you're going to make some sort of a plan where you want your house and what kind of house you want, all that sort of thing. And but if you're going to make a plan, make it with the certainty that if it all falls apart, that's okay. It's not meant to be. Otherwise, you're just going to do your head in. And the whole purpose of the spiritual path is to free your mind. And as you free your mind from what doesn't really exist, fear and doubt and uncertainty and all of that, as you free your mind from those games that you play with yourself by being willing to take a leap of faith and say yes and wow and thank you and embrace the universe, you'll find that your natural, I don't know if natural is the right word either, but you'll find that who you are comes back to you. You find yourself. But when we shield ourselves off with fears, and a lot of these fears are unknown there, you know, we hold them in denial, but when you shield yourself off with these fears and take on the identity of body rather than spirit, you put yourself out of the flow of the universe, out of the flow of the universal good, and shit starts to happen to you and you wonder why. So living a life without fear, without guilt, without judgment, without all those sorts of things, is the path that it's second to none, really. And you may be sitting there going, well, how can you live without guilt? What if you do something wrong? And it's like, well, there are no real wrong or right or anything like that. There are lessons. And I'm sure if you fail to learn those lessons, that you will be dealt with harshly by the world. The world is a place wherein you come to experience pain, suffering and death, and that's what happens when you refuse to learn the lessons that life presents you about unconditional love. We're here learning about love, in case you didn't realise that. And love is the flow of all things. It's not that romantic, gushy love, although it can look like that at times, but it's more a universal love that we have for each other and for all living things. It's not a high or a low love, it's just a peaceful kind of inner recognition of a perfect state of oneness. And we walk that and we live that, and everyone that we meet is a friend. Everyone that we meet is ourself. We meet others as we would like to be met. It's like the old saying, do unto others as you would have them do to you. Well, what's so hard about that? You don't need a church to tell you that. You know it in your heart already. So, what you put out, you get back. So, take a leap of faith, don't plan the next moment. Try to leave an open space and invite the Holy Spirit or the Spirit of wholeness, or invite your guide, inner guide, to show you what is actually really happening for you in that moment of life. Invite life in. Take a chance. It's like, what else are you going to do with your life? What else are you going to do with your days and your hours and your minutes? Just sit there and wait for the clock to go to 4:30, 5 o'clock, whatever, so you can go home, do the same routine over again. Who the fuck knows? You might find yourself here with me on Seaforth Beach and there's not a soul here today. Nobody. No one around except for me and, the good Lord above. Alright, well, I know it all sounds a bit trippy when you're on the outside of it and you're not really spiritually aligned, or you don't really have a set of steadfast kind of principles or anything in your life that you follow or live by. But when you do find a set of good principles such as forgiveness and tolerance and patience and giving and receiving, all those sorts of things, and you begin to put them into practice in your life, you will see your life change. But there's no compromise. You cannot compromise your principles. Find yourself some universal principles. I use the ones in the Course in Miracles, right? It's a book. Go and get yourself a copy of A Course in Miracles. Learn the principles. It's going to be hard work. It's going to take you a couple of years to learn it, like properly, to apply it, and to get your life looking like how you want it to look. But I guarantee if you let go of how you think your life ought to look and what you want love to look like for you in this particular moment, you'll find that the universe has a much better idea of you than you do. You don't even know what the fuck you are, why you're here, or if there really even is a God. Check out that beautiful sky. Did you get dizzy when I did that? Alright, well, I love you. And remember, God's not out there, God's inside you. If God is everything, that must include you. And you are a whole and equal part of God with all other things. Be respectful, be loving. Treat your life as sacred, because that's what you are. Alright, peace, yo.